I mean, what makes you you? What's your identity? I wonder if you really know who you are. So every year I would run this Bible study when I was in full-time ministry called Search for Significance. Now, I'm not going to teach on Search for Significance right now. I'm doing something entirely different. But during that first session with the people, I would give everyone a blank sheet of paper and some colored pencils or markers, and I would ask them to, without words, without symbols, without numbers, draw a picture of who you are to share with the rest of us. And I modified this exercise a little bit from a woman who was meaning to do well, but accidentally helped me shove my true identity back into this Christian set of standards and expectations. But I do give this exercise to people just to see where they're at. And this exercise is always tough for most people. They would draw pictures of their houses, of their children, of their spouses. There was this woman whose job was in nursing, and she drew herself this cute little 1950s nursing uniform with the hat. And some people even drew the sun shining down on them to express that they had a really good life and that they were happy. A lot of people drew Bibles in their hands and crosses, or standing outside of a chapel with a little cross on the top to signify that they were Bible-believing Christians. So I'm going to ask you to do the same. Just for a moment, stop and draw a mental picture of who you are, without words, without numbers, without letters. What makes you, you? What are you picturing? Are you a wife or a husband, a mom or dad, a grandparent? Are you a healthcare provider or a homemaker or a law enforcement agent? Are you a server at a restaurant or a bartender? Are you in ministry? Are you picturing your church service or your home and your family? Or are you picturing your social status or your financial status? See, the reason why I gave them and you this exercise is to help you see that most of us identify ourselves with either what we have or what we do, or a combination of both. But here's the problem with that what we have or what we do with our lives, it actually isn't guaranteed. It's not stable. So we could lose our job. We could become injured or sick. Our spouse could cheat on us, or maybe we could choose to leave our spouse for some other reason. Our children grow up and they move away and they create families of their own. And the stuff that we have, like our house, our money, they can all disappear at the blink of an eye, or with one unfortunate circumstance in our life. And if these things are who we are, or these people make up who we are, then what do we become when those things are gone, or if those things leave? Is our identity really as fickle as other people's choices, or the stock market, or our savings accounts, or the weather, or the mistakes that we make, or the mistakes that other people make that affect us? If we live our lives as who we are, our identity, as if they were directly caused by who or what we have, then it's no wonder that most of us live a life of fatigue, of deep insecurity, of fear, of this overarching sense of emptiness. No wonder we're exhausted and overwhelmed. And this is just at the end of a normal day. If all we are is what we have and what we do, we're in this constant, intense race to keep everything running, to keep everything in order, to have control. It's like spinning plates on our fingers or on sticks or everybody else's fingers. And we're trying to keep everyone in our life, even if they shouldn't be in our life or don't want to be in our life. We're trying to bust our butts to maintain all of the stuff that we have, or we're trying to make sure that we're always good at what we do, and or keep what we have, and never allowing any weakness or any failure in our life, in ourselves, in our home, in our communities, in our careers. And what makes this idea of identity especially difficult for people who call themselves Christians, or most of us who've been raised in a culture of assigned gender norms, is that we have this added layer of expectations on top of that our identity is somehow related to our role in this culture as a male or a female. So if you're a man and you were doing this mental picture exercise that I had asked earlier, did you picture yourself as the head of your home, or the head of your community, as a decision maker, as a strong tower, or the direction provider in your life, the leader? Or did you picture yourself as kind of a weak and overshadowed person? Maybe in your home or your work, good to people, a good guy, but never really in control enough to take any kind of lead. Did you picture yourself or feel a sense of failure as a godly man? Or if you're a woman, did you picture yourself as the helper of the family? We women like to call ourselves the glue of the family or the home, or of our careers, our communities, the one who lifts everyone up, who gets them where they need to be without overstepping the authority of a man, of course. Quiet, but powerful, influential, in a service capacity. Or did you picture yourself as a control freak, abrasive, unlovable, pushy, hard in the home or in business or in the community, that you're kind of successful in some areas of your life, but those things that give you success in some area of your life, they kind of make you a failure as a godly woman? So I'm going to tell you right now exactly what I told everyone in that class, in Search for Significance Bible study. You are not what you do. You are not what you have, and your identity lies in something so much greater than either of those two things. Something that cannot be shaken or taken from you despite your circumstances. And then I'm also going to tell you something that I didn't even understand myself until recently, let alone know enough about this to actually tell anyone else. Who you are has absolutely nothing to do with the culturally appropriated roles assigned to your gender. As a matter of fact, those roles were created out of sin nature, and they're destructive. They've distorted our understanding of creation and have allowed both men and women to live thousands of years trapped in this unrealistic and ungodly identity, these sets of identities. They've caused disconnection, emptiness, fear, exhaustion, abuse, and disappointment in most of our lives. See, if all of this is true, if what I just shared with you, if we are not what we do or not what we have, if we are not designed to meet this certain set of standards that our gender assigns us to, well then who are we? Who are we as people, as individuals, as men and women, and who are we as a community of people? So over 2 years ago, I've shared this before, God had not asked me, He commanded me to stop interpreting the Bible through the filter of my conservative Bible college degree in religion. And he asked me to instead see it through fresh eyes, through the eyes he gave me, through the intellect and the capacity that he gave me. And using all of my training on how to interpret the Bible, how to research ancient culture, but without the commentary of popular scholars, he wanted me to see truth. So I've done that. And as you can see, I have so much research. It sits on my desk. It's in notebooks in my closet. I have my Bible marked up. I have journals. And what I have learned over the last maybe 2 years has completely transformed what I know to be true of us as God's creation. And I want to share with you what I see, just starting with the beginning, the absolute beginning of the creation of humankind with these fresh eyes. And I was shocked when I found out. And I was challenged when I found out. This was hard. But also, I was encouraged and I was hopeful when I discovered exactly what God had planned when he created us. And I discovered not just who we are, our identity, I also discovered why we were created, and then how sin took God's perfect creation and twisted it into what we know now, to how we live now. And I believe that if we can understand exactly what went down in those first 3 chapters of the very first book of the Bible, the very first book of our history as humankind, then I believe that how we view ourselves, how we treat others, how we love God, and how we live our lives could radically transform. So I want to start at the beginning with our true identity.